The arrival dark clouds rolled across the sky like angry waves. The night above the alien planet was alive with fire. Small burning ships falling from orbit, pieces of a destroyed human fleet. One of them carried a soldier named Ethan Cole. Inside his broken drop pod, alarms screamed in red light. Ethan gripped the metal handles as the pod spun through the atmosphere. The heat outside was enough to melt steel. He shouted into his headset, "Command, this is Lieutenant Cole. I'm hit, losing control." No one answered. Only static. The pod slammed through thick purple clouds and crashed into something soft but heavy. Maybe jungle ground. The impact threw him against his seat. Silence followed. Then the sound of dripping liquid. A faint green mist floated through the cracks in the door. Ethan gasped for air, his lungs burning. The oxygen filter blinked yellow, still working barely. He kicked open the hatch and crawled out. The first thing he noticed was the light. The world glowed faintly blue as if the ground itself was alive. Strange tall trees rose into the sky, their trunks transparent like glass filled with glowing veins of silver. The air was thick and warm. Every breath tasted like metal. Insects the size of his hand flew past, wings shining like glass shards. He had landed on a planet far from Earth, far from safety. Ethan checked his wrist display. No signal, no satellite, no command. He was alone. He turned on his small shoulder lamp and began to walk through the glowing forest. The ground made soft sounds under his boots like breathing. Something was moving nearby, quiet, quick. He froze, pointed his plasma pistol at the shadows. Nothing. Only the sound of slow wind. He took another step and suddenly heard whispers. Faint voices, light and high, almost musical. They didn't sound human. He switched his translator on, but it gave only strange beeps and no match found. The whispers grew louder. Shapes moved between the glowing trees. Tall, thin silhouettes with long hair that shimmered like liquid metal. Ethan crouched behind a broken log and watched. There were 5 of them, humanoid, yes, but not human. Their skin was silver white, glowing softly under the blue light. Their eyes were bright like stars, no pupils, just pure light. They walked with strange grace, almost floating. One of them stopped and looked directly at him. Ethan's heart jumped. The alien tilted her head slowly, studying the shadows. Then in a voice like wind through glass, she said something. The others turned. They saw him. Ethan stood, hands raised. "Wait, don't shoot." "I'm not—" Before he could finish, one of them lifted her hand. A glowing ring of energy formed in the air, and suddenly Ethan's pistol flew from his hand and hit the ground. His weapon melted into the dirt like ice in fire. He stumbled back. "Okay, no weapons." "Got it." The tallest alien stepped forward. Her hair shimmered in the wind, her expression calm but curious. She said a word, soft and slow. "Huh, man." Ethan froze. His translator tried to catch it. The word was close enough. She knew something. He nodded carefully. "Yes, human, I'm not here to fight." The aliens spoke among themselves, voices like music. Then one of them reached out her hand and touched his jacket, fingers brushing over the torn fabric. Her skin was cold, smooth like glass. She said something again. The translator failed. The smallest one, curious, pointed at his chest. "Why, hide." Ethan blinked. "Hide?" She tugged at his sleeve gently but firmly. "Skin, why hide?" He didn't know what to say. "It's called clothes. Humans wear them." They looked at each other, whispering. One of them laughed softly, a strange echoing sound. Ethan couldn't tell if it was friendly or dangerous. Then the leader spoke again. Her tone changed and more serious. She gestured toward the deeper forest, saying a word that repeated in her voice. Kael'rin. Ethan guessed. Maybe a place. Or a name. 2 of them stepped closer, motioning him to follow. When he hesitated, one raised her hand and a beam of light formed between them, like a leash of energy. It pulled gently on his chest, leading him forward. "All right," Ethan muttered. "No choice, huh?" They walked through the glowing jungle for almost an hour. The trees grew taller and the light underfoot brighter. Ahead, the forest opened into a huge valley filled with crystal towers that shone like blue fire. The architecture was beautiful and alien. Smooth curves, no corners, everything glowing with soft energy. Hundreds of these strange women moved in the city below, all tall, elegant, glowing. Not a single man anywhere. Ethan's breath caught. "What kind of world is this?" As they entered the city, others turned to look at him. Some whispered, some gasped. Their eyes followed his every move. He could feel their curiosity, their disbelief, as if they were seeing something impossible. The leader finally stopped in front of a large gate made of crystal. She turned to him and said in a slow and careful voice, "You are the first in many lifetimes." Ethan frowned. "The first what?" She looked at him, eyes shining brighter than the stars above. "The first male." The gate opened behind her with a deep hum, revealing a hall of light and shadow. Ethan stepped forward, feeling every eye on him. He didn't know that behind those calm faces, behind the beauty of that shining city, waited secrets darker than any war he had fought, and this was only the beginning. The discovery. The crystal gates closed behind Ethan with a deep echo, like thunder underwater. The air inside the great hall was cool and full of light. Every wall shimmered like frozen waves, and strange runes floated in the air, symbols that glowed when the alien leader walked past them. Ethan's boots clicked softly on the floor. It wasn't stone. It was alive. The surface pulsed faintly under his feet like the heartbeat of a giant creature sleeping below. The leader, tall, calm, eyes shining silver, moved without sound. 2 guards followed beside her, their long staffs crackling with blue light. Ethan followed, trying to stay alert but feeling the heavy stare of hundreds of alien eyes around him. Everywhere he looked, there were more of them. Women, all similar in shape, yet each one slightly different. Some had hair like flowing gold, some like fire, some pure white. Their armor shimmered like liquid metal, light but strong, no men. Not even one. Ethan's heart pounded. A whole civilization. Only women? They stopped in front of a tall door that opened like a blooming flower. Inside was a room filled with light, tables of crystal and strange machines humming softly. It felt like a laboratory. The leader turned. "You, human," she said, speaking slowly. Her accent was sharp, but her words were clear now. "You come from the stars?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, my ship crashed. I mean, no harm." The leader studied him for a long time. Then she looked at one of her guards. "Bring the seer." A few moments later, another alien entered, smaller, with glowing tattoos across her face. She carried a floating orb that shone with pale light. The orb moved around Ethan, scanning him, humming softly. The seer's eyes widened. "He carries the old pattern," she whispered. "The one from before." The leader's voice turned cold. "Before what?" "Before the cleansing," said the seer. "Before males disappeared," Ethan frowned. "Wait, what do you mean, disappeared?" The seer touched the orb and a glowing image filled the room. A memory. Ethan saw giant ships, fire raining from the sky, and thousands of these same alien women running from explosions. Among them were men, same tall build, same glowing eyes, but fighting on opposite sides. The vision faded. Silence filled the air. The leader spoke, voice low. "Long ago our world was divided. Males brought war. They were erased so peace could live." Ethan shook his head. "Erased? You wiped out half your people?" Her gaze was cold as ice. "Peace has no gender. War did." The words hit Ethan like a slap. "That's insane," he said. "Without males, how?" He stopped. He didn't want to say it, but the seer smiled slightly as if reading his thoughts. "We create life from life," she said softly. "We clone. We do not need what you are." Ethan stepped back. The room suddenly felt smaller. These women weren't just survivors. They had built a perfect world by removing everything human about it. The seer placed her hand on the orb again. "But his pattern, it is different, pure, unchanged, maybe. He is not a danger." The leader turned sharply. "Or maybe he is a disease waiting to spread." Ethan clenched his fists. "You can test me, scan me, whatever. But I'm not a threat. I just want to go home." The leader looked at him silent. Then she said, "You cannot leave." "What?" "You are the first male in 1,000 cycles. Your body, your blood, your DNA, they will be studied. You may carry answers we lost forever." Ethan's pulse raced. "You're going to lock me up?" Her silver eyes flickered. "For the safety of all, yes." Before he could protest, 2 guards stepped forward. They touched their staffs together and a blue light surrounded him like a cage. Ethan tried to move, but his limbs froze. The leader's voice echoed. "Take him to the vault. Keep him under the watch of the seer." As they led him away, Ethan looked around the city. Dozens of alien women stood watching, silent, eyes full of curiosity and fear. He could hear whispers following him, words like male, ancient, and danger. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. The walls turned darker, carved from black crystal. Finally, they reached a chamber, half prison, half laboratory. The seer stayed with him, holding her glowing orb. She looked at him, curious rather than cruel. "Do not fight," she said softly. "The more you struggle, the more they will fear you." Ethan sat on a cold crystal seat. "You think I'm a monster, don't you?" Her eyes softened. "No, but I think you are a memory that was never meant to return." For a long time, neither spoke. Only the hum of the machines filled the silence. Then, suddenly, the lights flickered. The orb pulsed faster. The seer frowned. "Strange. Something reacts to you." The floor glowed beneath Ethan's feet. Symbols appeared under old broken runes lighting up around him. "What's happening?" he asked. The seer stepped back. "This chamber was built over the ruins of the first generation. It should not respond to you, but it did." The lights grew brighter, wrapping around Ethan's body. He felt a sharp pain in his chest, a heartbeat stronger than before, sinking with the light under him. The seer whispered, "You are not just human. You carry something ancient." Ethan looked up, sweat on his forehead. "What do you mean?" Her face went pale. "You carry the code of creation and the missing key." Before she could say more, the door slammed open. The leader stormed in, eyes glowing like fire. "Shut it down," she shouted. "Now!" Guards rushed in, but the light around Ethan didn't stop. It pulsed like thunder, growing, spreading through the walls. In that moment, Ethan realized something terrifying. He wasn't just lost on this planet. The planet knew him. The experiment, the light that had surrounded Ethan, finally faded, leaving thin smoke and silence. The walls of the crystal chamber were cracked now, glowing faintly like cooling lava. Guards stood frozen in fear. None of them had ever seen anything like that. Ethan lay on the floor, breathing hard. His heart felt like a drum, beating faster than it ever had. The seer stood nearby, clutching her glowing orb, her silver eyes wide. "It reacted to him," she whispered. The ancient code answered him. The leader, cold and fierce, stared down at Ethan. "Seal this chamber," she ordered. "Move him to the deep vault. No one outside this hall must know." Two guards lifted him. His vision blurred. The world around him seemed to ripple like heat waves. He heard voices fading behind him. If he carries the code, then the prophecy might be true. The Mail of Stars will rise again. Hours passed before Ethan woke. He found himself strapped to a glowing bed made of crystal lines and silver energy. The room around him was darker, filled with machines, alive, humming like they were breathing. Strange symbols floated in the air above him, scanning his body. He could feel something cold crawling under his skin, small nanoprobes studying his blood. "Stay still," said a calm voice. He turned his head and saw the seer again. Her eyes were glowing softly. She was standing beside a tall table full of strange tools, part organic, part machine. Ethan tried to move, but energy cuffs held him tight. "You're experimenting on me," he said through clenched teeth. The seer looked conflicted. "We are studying you. Your body speaks to our world. The planet listens to you," he frowned. "What does that mean?" She placed her hand on a panel. A projection appeared, showing his DNA spinning like light threads. One strand was glowing gold. "This," she said, pointing. "This sequence doesn't exist in us. It's a piece of something lost. The source gene, the beginning of all life on this world." Ethan stared. "Are you saying humans and your kind are connected?" The seer nodded slowly. "Long ago, before our history began, your kind came here. They mixed their blood with ours. But after the Great War, that bloodline vanished. Until now," he was silent. Then softly, "And what do you plan to do with me?" The door opened before she could answer. The leader entered with several guards. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned like fire. "Extract what we need," she said coldly. "Then dispose of him." The seer turned, shocked. "No, he is not a machine. He carries living memory." The leader stepped closer. "And that memory could destroy everything we built. You saw what happened in the lower chamber." The walls responded to him. "The old power is waking. We cannot allow that." Ethan strained against his restraints. "You can't just kill me." The leader's voice was ice. "We will not kill you. We will use you." She touched the control panel and a surge of pain shot through Ethan's body. Light burst from his skin, forming patterns across his chest. Machines around him came alive, spinning, glowing faster. The seer rushed forward. "Stop! You'll burn him alive!" The leader pushed her back. "He is not alive. He is a key." Ethan screamed as light filled the room. The machines fed on his energy, drawing data from his blood. The walls shook. Alarms echoed. Then, something snapped. A pulse of raw light exploded outward, throwing everyone to the ground. The restraints shattered. The machines around him melted like wax. Ethan stood up panting, eyes glowing faintly gold. The air around him vibrated with energy. The leader rose slowly, blood on her lip. "What are you?" she whispered. Ethan's voice was calm but deep, echoing strangely. "I'm human, but maybe more than that now." The seer crawled closer, fear and awe in her eyes. He merged with the source. The leader's expression hardened. "No, he is the source." Before they could react, the walls of the laboratory began to change, growing roots of crystal that reached toward Ethan, like the planet itself was trying to touch him. Ethan stepped back, confused. "It's reacting to me again. Why?" The seer's voice trembled. "Because it remembers you. The source gene built this world. The planet's core still carries that memory. It thinks, 'You are its creator,'" the leader shouted to the guards. "Contain him, before the connection spreads." The guards raised their energy staffs, firing beams of blue light. Ethan raised his hands instinctively, and the energy bent around him like wind. It didn't hit him. It wrapped around his body, flowing back toward the guards. The beams exploded. The guards fell. Ethan looked down at his hands, glowing faintly gold. "I didn't mean to." The leader drew her weapon, anger flashing. "You are chaos. You are what destroyed our world before." Ethan shook his head. "No, you destroyed yourselves." Before she could strike, the ground rumbled. A deep voice echoed through the walls. Not human, not alien. It was the planet itself. "The seed returns. The circle opens." Everyone froze. The light in the room shifted, forming strange symbols in the air. The same ones that appeared when Ethan touched the floor earlier. The seer stared in disbelief. "It's the language of creation," she whispered. No one alive can read it. Ethan could. Somehow he understood every symbol, every sound. The words burned into his mind. Balance must return. The void must awaken. He whispered them aloud, and the whole room trembled. The leader shouted, "Stop him!" But it was too late. The energy surged again, brighter than before. The crystal walls cracked, revealing a deep golden light beneath, like the heart of the planet awakening after a long sleep. The seer fell to her knees. "The source is alive." Ethan looked at her, eyes glowing like suns. "Then it's time to remember what was lost." Outside the laboratory, alarms screamed through the city. For the first time in 1,000 years, the alien world itself began to move, its sky bleeding gold, its heart beating again, and Ethan Cole, the last human soldier, had just become something far beyond human. The curiosity turns wild. The city had changed. After the energy burst, nothing felt the same. The glowing towers that once pulsed with soft blue now shimmered faint gold, the same color that burned in Ethan's veins. The air itself hummed with invisible energy, as if the world was breathing again, and that scared everyone. For the alien civilization, peace meant control, calm, silence. But now the world was waking up, whispering to the one man they feared and couldn't understand, Ethan Cole. Ethan sat in a crystal cell high above the city. The walls glowed faintly, but now they flickered like nervous lights. His hands were still glowing under the skin, faint golden lines running up his arms. He didn't know if the planet was helping him or changing him. Every night he heard it. A faint whisper through the air vents, through the walls, through the ground itself. "Remember, return, restore." It wasn't a voice, and it was the planet's memory calling him. The seer visited him often. She brought no guards, only her glowing orb that followed like a quiet ghost. "You are not a prisoner," she told him softly, "but the people are afraid. They think you are a weapon." Ethan smiled weakly. "I'm used to that. My own kind thought the same thing once." She studied him carefully. "What did you do before you came here?" "I fought," he said. "Wars that changed nothing. I was a soldier, but I never understood what we were really fighting for. The seer's silver eyes softened. Now the universe has given you a new war, but this time the enemy may not be outside. Before Ethan could answer, she turned sharply. Someone was listening outside. The door slid open, and 3 younger aliens peeked in. They were not soldiers or seers. They looked curious, excited, whispering to each other. The youngest one had bright violet eyes and short silver hair. She smiled shyly. "Is it true?" she asked. "You are a male?" Ethan blinked. "That's what they tell me." The girls giggled softly. The seer frowned. "You shouldn't be here," she warned. "Leave." But they didn't. They stepped closer, eyes wide with wonder. The smallest one tilted her head, studying Ethan like a strange creature. "Your voice," she said. "It's deep, it feels warm." Another added, "His face is rough. Look, he has these." She pointed to the stubble on his jaw. Ethan chuckled. "It's called a beard. Means I haven't shaved." They exchanged confused looks. "Shaved?" one repeated. The seer sighed. "Enough. You are breaking protocol." But curiosity had already burned brighter than fear. The girls moved closer. One reached out and brushed her hand against Ethan's arm. The moment she touched him, the gold light under his skin pulsed, and when she gasped, "It's warm. He's alive differently." Another laughed, emboldened. "What's under this?" she said, tugging gently at his torn uniform sleeve. Ethan stepped back. "Hey, maybe don't." The youngest one suddenly pulled harder, and his sleeve tore open with a sharp rip. The golden light spilled out, glowing bright beneath his skin. The girls gasped, eyes wide in awe. "Beautiful." One whispered. The seer grabbed them. "Enough, out now." But before she could push them out, the door burst open again. Guards rushed in, weapons raised. Behind them stood the leader, her expression hard as stone. "What is happening here?" Her voice thundered. The room fell silent. The younger girls froze in terror. The leader's eyes locked on Ethan. "You spread your corruption already." Ethan raised his hands. "Wait, this wasn't me." She gestured sharply, and one guard struck him with a stun baton. Electricity danced across his body, but instead of falling, the energy absorbed into his skin, and his eyes flared gold again. Everyone stepped back. Ethan's voice was calm but powerful. "I didn't start this. You're afraid because your world is changing, and you can't stop it." The leader's face twisted with anger. "This world doesn't need saving. It needs silence." She turned to the seer. "You will isolate him. No contact. No experiments. And if he resists," the seer interrupted quietly, "you cannot kill the source." The leader glared. "Watch me." That night, the younger alien girls couldn't sleep. The image of Ethan's glowing arms haunted them, and something else, something they couldn't explain. For generations, their kind had no males, no idea of balance or difference. But seeing him changed something inside them. A spark of emotion they had no word for. They whispered in the dark. "He looked so strong." His eyes were kind. "Why do I feel this?" And somewhere deep inside the crystal palace, Ethan sat alone in his cell. Eyes closed, the golden light fading softly. He could feel their thoughts brushing against his own like echoes through air. The planet was connecting them, one by one. He opened his eyes and whispered, "So this is how it starts." Outside, the ground trembled. The towers pulsed brighter. The gold veins spread through the streets like fire in glass. The leader stood on her balcony staring at the changing city. Her soldiers knelt before her, afraid. "The source grows stronger," said one guard. "It spreads through the young." Through their minds, the leader's eyes were cold. "Then we burn it out. All of it." She raised her staff toward the sky, and the great crystal spire at the center of the city began to awaken. An ancient weapon of light, built long ago to end the last war. But this time, it would be turned against one man, Ethan Cole, the human who had become the heart of a forgotten god. The hidden truth. The city slept under a strange golden glow. The once silent towers now hummed softly like a heartbeat. The sky had changed color too, half blue, half gold, as if two worlds were fighting for control. In the deepest chamber of the city, Ethan Cole sat in his cell, wide awake. The planet whispered to him again, "Find the core. Remember the beginning." He didn't understand it fully, but he felt it. The pull, deep underground, like something calling for him. Footsteps echoed outside his cell. The door slid open quietly. A small figure stepped in. The youngest alien girl, Lira, the one who had touched his arm before. Her violet eyes glowed softly in the dark. "You are awake," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "Couldn't sleep. Hard to sleep when a planet keeps talking in your head." Lira smiled nervously. "I shouldn't be here. The leader said no one must speak to you." "Then why are you here?" he asked. She hesitated. Then she stepped closer. "Because I believe you. You are not here to harm us. I can feel it." Ethan looked at her. Young, curious, brave. "You're risking a lot for a stranger." Lira shook her head. "You are not a stranger. You are a piece of our past. The seer told me." She took out a small crystal disc glowing faint blue. This was hidden in the archives. The leader banned it. "It shows what happened before the Great War." Ethan frowned. "Show me." She placed the crystal on the floor. Light filled the cell, creating a hologram. Not a recording, but a memory. He saw cities like this one. Bright. Alive. Alien men and women working together. Laughter. Peace. Then the vision darkened. Explosions. Fire. Chaos. A voice echoed from the memory. "The source has been divided. Balance broken. The world will fall unless one returns." Then images of humans appeared. Ancient humans, landing ships, helping the alien race rebuild. Ethan stared in disbelief. "They came from Earth," he whispered. "Humans helped your people?" Lira nodded. "They were the first explorers. They shared their DNA to save our species after the war. You carry their blood." Ethan's chest tightened. "Then your kind and mine." "Our family?" Lira's eyes shimmered. "Yes, but the leader doesn't want anyone to know. She calls it corruption. She says males bring chaos. She destroyed every record that proves otherwise." Ethan clenched his fists. "She's afraid of the truth." Lira looked at him seriously. "There's more. The seer said the source, the living heart of this world, still sleeps beneath the city. It connects all life. The leader plans to destroy it before it wakes completely." "Destroy it?" Ethan asked. "Why?" "Because if it wakes," she said softly, "it will bring back balance. Male and female, light and dark, creator and seed. Everything she spent centuries controlling will end." Ethan stepped closer. "Then we have to stop her." Lira nodded. "There is a way. The source core is buried under the crystal tower, but no one can reach it. It's locked by ancient code. Only the original gene can open it." Ethan understood instantly. "The gene? That's me." Lira looked afraid. "If you go there, she will kill you. The core is guarded by the Obsidian Sentinels, ancient machines from before the war. Even she cannot fully control them." He smiled faintly. "I've fought worse." They moved quietly through the glowing corridors hidden by shadows. Alarms hummed faintly in the distance, and the whole city was on alert. As they passed a balcony, Ethan looked out. The towers flickered, sending beams of gold light into the sky. "The planet's waking faster," he said. Lira nodded. "Every hour, more of the people hear the whispers. The young ones dream of things they don't understand, oceans, stars, men. They're remembering," Ethan said quietly. "The truth is breaking through the lies." They reached an elevator made of pure crystal. Lira placed her hand on the panel. "Only my DNA can open lower access. I'm one of the gene keepers." The platform began to descend, deeper and deeper past levels that hadn't been visited in centuries. The walls turned darker, etched with runes glowing in gold. Finally, they stepped into a massive chamber. It wasn't made of crystal. It was ancient metal, smooth, black, cold. In the center stood a giant circular gate covered in golden veins. At its heart, a soft pulse of light. Slow, steady, alive. "The source core," Lira whispered. Ethan stepped closer. As he did, the light grew brighter, like it recognized him. The walls began to hum. Lira gasped. "It knows you." He placed his hand on the gate. The moment he touched it, the air exploded with sound. Voices, memories, images flashing in his mind. The first humans, the first aliens, the war, the creation of this world. He saw everything. And then, the truth. The leader, centuries ago, standing before the council, watching as the male population was erased. It wasn't war, it was her choice. She had feared prophecy, feared that a male would awaken the source and end her rule. Ethan stumbled back, breathing hard. She killed them all. Her own kind, Lira's voice shook. We must tell everyone. Before Ethan could answer, a cold voice echoed from behind them. No need, said the leader, stepping out of the shadows. Her silver eyes glowed bright and cruel. Soldiers surrounded them, weapons raised. You found the truth, she said calmly. Now you will die with it. Ethan raised his hand, golden light sparked around his palm. You can't kill what the planet protects. The leader smiled. Then I'll destroy the planet itself. The floor cracked open. Energy surged. The chamber began to shake, and for the first time, Ethan realized the real war was not between species, it was between truth and fear, and the planet itself was choosing a side. The betrayal, the ground shook like a living heartbeat. Inside the source chamber, the golden light flared, crawling up the walls and into the cracks of the city above. Ethan Cole stood with his hand still glowing against the ancient gate. Beside him, Lira stared at the leader's army forming a circle of blue light weapons. The air was heavy with fear. The leader's voice cut through the noise. Step away from the core, human. You don't know what you are awakening. Ethan turned slowly. You're wrong. I'm not awakening something new. I'm waking what you buried. The leader lifted her staff. The energy at its tip spun into a spiral of black and silver. You carry the same spark that destroyed our world once. I will end it before it begins again. Lira stepped in front of Ethan. No, he isn't our enemy. You lied to us about the past, about the war, about the source. The leader's eyes burned brighter. The truth brings chaos. Order keeps us alive, she raised her hand. Seize them. The guards hesitated, torn between loyalty and fear. Lira looked at them desperately. She killed the truth. She killed our fathers, our brothers. The chamber went silent. The word brothers had never been spoken for centuries. The soldiers looked at one another, confused, trembling. Then the ground split. The source core pulsed violently, gold lightning tearing through the metal floor. Ethan was thrown back. Lira fell beside him. From the cracks below, glowing tendrils of energy rose, wrapping around Ethan's arms like living chains. He gasped. It's pulling me in. The planet's voice echoed in every mind, deep and ancient. The balance returns. The seed and the vessel must unite. The leader shouted over the roar. Contain it! Now. Dozens of guards fired at Ethan, streams of blue plasma crossing the air. The energy hit the golden light surrounding him and bent, twisting back toward them. Explosions filled the room. Crystal fragments rained down. Lira crawled toward him, screaming through the storm. Ethan, let go! He couldn't, the light was inside him now. He felt memories that weren't his. Lives of the first humans, the creation of the world. The betrayal that ended it. He saw the leader's face in those memories, and younger, standing beside another being, a male of her kind. They had ruled together once, until she destroyed him to claim eternal control. Ethan's eyes snapped open. You killed your mate, the leader froze. What did you say? You killed him, the first source bearer. That's why the balance died. Her voice broke for the first time. He wanted to merge with the humans. He would have destroyed purity. I did what I had to. Ethan's voice was low, calm, filled with the planet's power. No, you did what your fear told you to. The energy around him exploded again, forming a protective sphere. Lira reached it, pressed her hand to the surface, and it opened for her. Inside the sphere, everything was quiet. Ethan's body glowed gold, his heartbeat echoing like thunder. Lira touched his chest. You're changing. He looked at her, eyes burning bright. The planet's merging with me. If I don't control it, it'll destroy everything. She held his face. Then I'll help you control it. Outside, the leader's army regrouped. The seer ran into the chamber, her orb flickering wildly. Stop this madness, she cried to the leader. The core chooses balance, not war. The leader struck her down with a blast of dark light. The seer fell lifeless, her orb shattering into dust. Lira screamed, rage and sorrow tearing from her throat. The golden energy responded to her emotions, surging higher around Ethan. Their hands locked, their lights blending, her silver, his gold, fusing into one blinding radiance. The planet roared again. Union complete. Awakening begins. A massive beam shot upward from the core, straight through the ceiling, piercing the sky. The entire city shook. Towers cracked. The people ran, crying out as the heavens split open. The leader stumbled back, watching the power she had feared her whole life return before her eyes. No, it cannot be. Ethan and Lira floated above the ground now, light swirling around them like a storm. His voice carried through the chaos, deeper, resonant, not entirely human. You ruled by fear. You silenced truth. But this world deserves balance, not chains. The leader screamed and hurled her weapon, a blade of dark crystal. Straight at Ethan. It pierced his shoulder, and the light faltered. Lira cried out, catching him as he fell. Blood, golden and bright, that flowed down his arm. He looked up at her, weak but steady. Don't let her destroy the core. The leader raised her weapon again to strike the final blow, but the planet reacted first. The floor burst open, and a wave of molten gold energy erupted from the core, swallowing everything in its path. Ethan shielded Lira, holding her close. Hold on. Through the blinding light, the leader's voice echoed one last time. If I fall, the world falls with me. Then a silence. When the light faded, the chamber was gone. The tower above had collapsed. The city lay in ruins, glowing faint gold under the broken sky. Ethan lay on the ground, barely conscious. Lira knelt beside him, tears glimmering in her silver eyes. You saved us, she whispered. He shook his head weakly. No, not yet. She's still out there. The source isn't done. As the first rays of a strange dawn rose over the shattered city, Ethan Cole stood again, half human, half something greater, ready for the final battle that would decide whether this world lived or burned. The last male smoke rose over the golden ruins. The once perfect city of light now lay broken, glowing softly under a sky split between day and night. Half blue, half burning gold, a mirror of two worlds colliding. The wind carried a strange whisper. Not of fear, but awakening. The planet was alive, watching, waiting. Ethan Cole stood on a shattered bridge overlooking the valley. His armor was gone, his human clothes torn. The golden light still burned beneath his skin, glowing through the cracks of dust and blood. Beside him, Lira walked quietly, her silver eyes dim but determined. She had seen everything fall, and yet for the first time in her life she didn't feel hopeless. Is it over? She asked softly. Ethan shook his head. No, she's still alive. I can feel her. From far below, the earth rumbled. A dark light pulsed deep under the ruins. Slow, steady, hateful. The leader, Lira whispered. She merged with the dark core. Ethan looked at her. Dark core? Lira nodded. It's the twin of the source. It was created in secret long ago, made from fear, not life. It feeds on control, on pain. That's how she stayed immortal. Ethan clenched his fists. Then that's what she used to erase the truth. Lira placed her hand on his. If she becomes one with it, she will destroy the planet. She'll turn everything, even the source, into darkness. He looked toward the horizon where lightning tore the sky. Then we stop her. Together. They descended through the broken streets, past fallen statues, shattered crystal, and glowing rivers of molten light. Everywhere they went, the people hid, whispering Ethan's name in awe and fear. Some reached out as he passed. The male who walks with light, the source reborn, the last of the stars. But Ethan didn't feel like a savior. He felt like a soldier again, walking toward another impossible battle. As they neared the core of the city, the sky darkened completely. The ground pulsed with black veins. In the distance stood the obsidian spire, the weapon the leader once used to wipe out all males. Now it was alive again, rising from the ruins, twisting into the clouds. From its peak, a voice echoed. Deep, layered, powerful. You cannot stop what I've become, human. You are just a spark of the past. I am eternity. Ethan's voice was calm. Eternity built on fear always ends. A figure appeared at the top of the spire, the leader but no longer flesh. Her body was made of black crystal and silver flame. Her face was cracked, glowing from within. Lira gasped. She's one with the dark core. The leader smiled, her voice echoing in their minds. And soon this world will be perfect again. No war, no chaos, no balance. Ethan took a step forward. Without balance, there's no life. He raised his hands, golden energy flowing from his palms, swirling around him. The ground trembled. The planet answered his call. The sky split open. Beams of gold shot upward, colliding with the black clouds. Light and darkness twisted like dragons fighting across the heavens. The leader descended, hovering above the ruins. Her eyes were pure shadow now. You are a mistake, Ethan Cole. Your kind should have stayed forgotten. He stood firm. Maybe. But mistakes are what make life real, she screamed, hurling a blast of dark energy. It struck the ground, exploding into a shockwave. Lira was thrown back. Ethan caught her mid-fall, shielding her with his own body. He looked at her, breathing hard. "Stay back," she shook her head. "No, the source joined us both. We fight together." Their hands met again, gold and silver merging into one. The light grew stronger, brighter, louder. The leader charged, black wings unfolding from her back. The air itself cracked under her power. She swung her staff, striking against Ethan's energy field. The collision sent waves of fire across the city. Ethan's voice echoed through the chaos. "You can't win this," the leader snarled. "You still don't understand. The source and the dark core are one. Kill me and you destroy the planet too." Ethan hesitated, and in that pause she struck. A dark blade pierced his chest. Lira screamed, catching him as he fell. His golden blood spilled onto the ground, burning through the stone. The leader laughed. "See, balance is a lie. Only control survives." Ethan looked up weakly, his hand glowing faintly. "You're wrong." He placed his hand on the ground, and the golden light spread like wildfire. It crawled up the walls, through the streets, into the sky. Every crystal, every life form on the planet began to glow. The voice of the planet returned, deeper and stronger than ever. Balance restored through sacrifice. The leader screamed as her black crystal body began to crack. "No, I am eternal." Ethan's voice was faint but calm. "No, you were afraid to die. That's not eternity." With his last strength, he pulled the golden energy from his body, fusing it with the source. A blinding wave erupted outward, swallowing both light and darkness. For a moment, silence. Then, from the light, the planet's voice whispered softly, "The circle is whole again." When the light faded, the city was reborn. The air was warm, peaceful. The sky clear. Lira woke among the ruins, her body covered in soft silver dust. She looked around, the spire was gone. The darkness had vanished, and Ethan was nowhere. Tears filled her eyes. "Ethan?" she whispered. A soft golden glow appeared beside her. The air shimmered, his voice echoed, faint but warm. "You did it, Lira. Keep them safe. Tell them the truth." She reached out, but her hand touched only light. "Don't go." "I'm not gone," the voice said. "I'm part of this world now." The golden light rose into the sky, scattering like starlight across the horizon. The people of the city looked up, their first sunrise in 1,000 years. Lira stood tall, tears on her face but hope in her heart. "He was human," she said to the crowd, "and he saved us all." The planet whispered again, gentle and eternal. The last male of the stars has become the first light of a new dawn. And as the golden sun rose over the reborn world, the legend of Ethan Cole, the human who became the source, began.